Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Elliott, and I'm excited today. We have a special guest here in person with us today, somebody in our backyard, and actually a buddy of mine. We met a couple months ago at another mastermind that we're a part of, the Boardroom, with Kent Clothier. It's an awesome real estate investing type of mastermind. When we were in person, he was doing his presentation. I was really mind blown by just the leaps and bounds of how fast and how soon he has been able to build up real estate experience in such a short time frame, as well as just the family man that he is, and going from working the corporate lifestyle and kind of going down a path of taking him away from family, something, a big core value of his and something that I resonate with. I realized, and he did as well, that wasn't going towards his goal. So he ended up canceling that, stopped right away, quit when his wife was pregnant, and he realized, or I think it was a brand new baby at the time, right? And
yeah, that was the start of it.
And so at that point, he was like, hey, enough is enough. I need to be at home, be with the kids, be with the family, and dive deep into this real estate thing. And it's paid off drastically since. So just really excited to have you here. What's up, Eric? How are you today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brandon?
I'm good, man. Just got back from the month-long vacation in Europe, and that was a blast.
Dude, I'm jealous.
Yeah. But you travel a lot as well. You do it with the kids, with the whole family, which is very honorable. I love that.
Yeah, man.
So anybody out there that doesn't know more about your story, who you are, where you're from, do you mind just giving that 30,000 foot view for us?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try and condense, 20 years, 41 years old, but 20 years of corporate life into, 30 seconds or maybe a little bit more.
Do your best.
See how it goes, right? Yeah. So my name's Erik Eisenman. I've got 4 kids at home. Currently, they're 9, 8, 6, and 2. We go boy, girl, boy, girl. A lot of fun around the household. My wife, Becky, and I have been together for 15 years now. We've been married.
Love it.
We actually met in high school. So it's
high school sweethearts.
25 years if I'm dating myself that we've been together. So it's been a fun ride. A professional standpoint, I went to engineering school right out of high school, obviously. I come from, what I would call a middle-class family, right? My dad was an engineer and kind of had that instilled in me, from a young age, like kind of, you sort of follow in your parents' footsteps, right? That's kind of, we hope to leave a legacy for our kids and kind of direct them, right? And so
for sure.
Similar along those lines, went down the corporate path, started out in a big corporation, a medical device corporation. Really thought I wanted to be in consulting, glamorous lifestyle of a consultant. Realized that was it was a lot, especially when when Becky and I got married. Being on the road 50 out of 52 weeks a year is really hard. Even when you're not married, but as a new married couple, not getting to spend that time. So we relocated and had the opportunity to actually come home every night for dinner instead of just being home on the weekends.
Which is nice. Yeah, it's nice.
But things sort of move along and you get bigger roles in corporations and stuff like that, and you're spending more time on the road and away from family, and you kind of alluded to it. When our oldest was born, we were living in New York City at the time, and even though I wasn't traveling to the extent that I was when I was consulting, I was traveling internationally. So I was heading to Japan and Kuala Lumpur at least once a month for a week. Having a newborn, especially your first one, it's always scary, right? And so I was actually on a plane 3 weeks after my son was born, and you get that call in the middle of the night in Tokyo. He's sick. He's having problems breathing. He's going into the hospital. A 13-hour flight away, and forget a 13-hour flight. It's 2:00 in the morning in Tokyo, and the first flight I can get on is 6:30 at night. The stress of sitting there. So long story short,
just feeling helpless, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, that sort of started us down a path of okay, how do I need to be home more. This is not sustainable. So I was fortunate enough to take a role out here in San Diego. So we relocated again from New York to San Diego.
And what year was that?
So that was when my wife was pregnant with my daughter. So 2014 is actually when we moved. So we've been out here for about 9 years.
Okay. Cool.
Now, yeah. So much more domestic. I was running a team across the United States, really cut down on the travel aspect. But you can imagine, a company with a corporate headquarters in New York City and you're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
The corporate career sort of stalled.
Yeah.
And so I started looking into, real estate, got my license, went down that path for a little bit, but really kind of knew that investing was the way to go. And things sort of really changed last year, made the jump to full time and gave it a go and, been doing it ever since and loving it.
Didn't look back.
Exactly.
I love it. It's funny, like a lot of us, when we're first getting started into investing in real estate, we all hear like we have to be an agent, or that's just like a path that we kind of take. It's easier, or we get the education and we're in that professional spotlight, right? That it can make more sense. We'll get deal flow, whatever it may be.
Sure.
And then you realize very quickly that I don't want to be showing houses. I don't like, that's not what I want to do. I want to do the investing side,
right.
And so it's good to identify that right away and determine what you truly want.
Yeah, exactly. You get your license, right? And they're talking to you about, you can go build a team and you'll work 20 hours a week or whatever.
Yep.
What you don't learn when you get your license, as part
they
of the
don't tell
education
you up front.
is like,
you think you're going to be an investor.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, it's a piece of paper, right? It's like anything.
Yep.
They don't teach you that even if you're an agent, you still have to know how to market.
Yeah.
Right. And you still have to know how to talk to people and build rapport to get clients.
You
and
need
so
to be
it's
good.
Really,
yeah.
It's the same skill set, right? As investing. And obviously there's, a little bit of different expertise and things like that if you're buying houses and underwriting deals as opposed to, helping people buy their own house. But at its core, like, I'd rather use that skill set to build my own wealth than, just getting worried about, the next paycheck. I'd rather build cash flow, passive income.
Yes.
As opposed to, okay, I sold that house. Like, let's go find the next one to go, do a transaction as opposed to, building an income stream.
So talk to me, the last year, what have you been doing in real estate? Like what is the strategy or the different methods that you've been focusing on the most?
Yeah. So what really resonated for me as I was digging into it deeper was the creative finance world. Obviously everyone's like, you can see YouTube videos, buy a house with no money down, and, money out of pocket. This, of course, going back to the conversation before, there's marketing dollars associated with that. There's acquisitions costs. It's not all that easy, right?
It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No one tells you that out of the gate. But yeah, that was really kind of my focus right away was finding creative deals. Mm-hmm. So the first deal that I bought after going full time was actually 10 units in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd invest in Milwaukee.
Right. Out of all places, why that location?
So I'm part of another community, Sub 2, with Pace Morby.
Sure.
And I saw someone post a deal in that group. And one of the things that I think is important for people to know is just don't be afraid to reach out to someone and have a conversation. So
for sure,
immediately DM'd the person who posted the deal, ended up having a phone conversation with her at like 9:00 at night, you know, like, hey, I want to learn more about this. Can you send this to me? Underwrote the deal. It made sense. And so, ended up taking it down.
And I think that's, when you're first getting started, a lot of people that I've noticed, at least, they get very scared or intimidated by making those phone calls. And that's just what it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of those phone calls.
Exactly.
And then you just got to underwrite it, right? You got to underwrite it, see if the numbers make sense, and then submit your offer. So it did make sense for you. You submitted the offer. Was there other competition on it? Do you still have that property today?
I do, actually.
Okay.
In fact, I was talking to the property manager just yesterday about some tenant issues that we got going on. The joys of owning rental properties. Right?
Oh my God, don't get me started. Yeah.
For me, and I'm naturally an introverted person.
Yeah, same.
Read a book or crunch a spreadsheet and underwrite the deal as opposed to having that conversation.
Yeah.
But a big mindset shift for me was thinking about, okay, someone's going to have that conversation.
Yeah, somebody's got to. Yeah.
So I'd rather be involved in the conversation than have that conversation go on with me not in the room and lose the deal, or, think about the corporate world. I've been laid off twice in the corporate world, right?
Yeah.
Those were conversations that got had when I wasn't in the room and not advocating for myself.
Yeah, that's deep. That's good.
Likewise, I got promotions from being on business trips with a COO.
Yep.
And having a conversation about what my goals are and what I'm trying to do. And, 6 months later, I've got a promotion in the corporate world. So
from you being in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From me being in the room and for advocating for myself. No one's going to be a bigger advocate than you for yourself.
Right. That's good.
And so it's the same thing in the real estate world, right? Like, I would much rather be having that conversation with a seller, be looking out for my deals, what's important to me in finding a deal and structuring it in a way that's going to make sense and it's going to be most beneficial for my goals.
Yeah.
As opposed to, letting someone else go find the deal and then, maybe I'm not even participating in it at that point.
So what was how did you finance that deal? And then what's the goal with that one? Was that a traditional finance? You bought it and
no, that was subject to.
Okay.
So I paid the wholesaler $20,000.
Okay.
That was my own money. Took over the mortgage payments on 5 duplexes. In Milwaukee.
Okay.
The seller was an older lady. I actually talked to her yesterday too.
Yeah.
About something else. I'm still friends with her.
Love it.
Keep those relationships going.
Yes.
And because you never know what's going to happen. But
yeah.
Her husband passed away. He'd been the one that was managing the properties. She didn't really know what she was going to do with them. She was struggling. Tenants weren't paying and that kind of stuff. And so, we were able to solve a problem for her. She's happy. Her credit's getting rebuilt because we're paying mortgage payments on time every month.
Good.
And everybody wins.
I love it. Was she in the arrears?
She wasn't in arrears.
Okay.
But she was having to come out of pocket month after month because at that time she had 4 vacancies. And then of the 6 properties that were occupied, 2 of the tenants weren't paying their rent.
Of course.
So, it's really hard to make mortgage payments on 10 doors when you've only got 4 that are performing.
Yeah.
It gets tough.
Yeah. And then what are the rates on those roughly?
So we bought those a year ago.
Okay.
And they were high at the time. They're in the 7.5% to 8% range.
Okay.
So I'm getting ready to refinance those too. We were able to buy those in a way where the balances, when I'm refinancing, my loan to values are going to be in the 45-50% range. So
for sure,
we'll get some good rates on that and just recast the loan.
I love that. And so I assume that the person that sold it, the wholesaler, they put a spread on that interest rate.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm sorry. On the interest rate?
Yeah, on the interest rate.
No.
Okay.
So I just took over the loans directly from the seller,
and
I paid the wholesaler an acquisition fee, basically.
Yeah. And then, so I guess that the seller ended up refinancing or something around the time when the interest rates were higher. Because for the longest time, the interest rates were pretty low.
Yeah, no, I actually didn't get the story about why she hadn't refinanced earlier.
Sure.
Because the loans actually, they're 30-year loans that have, 15 years left on them. So she had
Really?
gotten those loans back before the rates dropped.
Yeah.
So, there's some opportunity there.
Yeah, that's great.
Well,
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so what was the next deal after that?
Wow, there's been so many. I'm trying to
to
put them in chronological order.
Actually, let's talk about, the relationship with, when we were out to lunch, you were talking about the relationship, I believe locally here, right?
Right.
With the elder woman.
A seller, down in Imperial Beach, yeah.
Okay, and that was a real creative deal, especially with her wants, her needs, like what she was looking to accomplish, and then just making it a complete win-win, really.
So again, kind of talking about relationships, I actually have done 2 deals with her.
Yeah. And it's all creative stuff, which I love.
Yeah.
Like creative financing is the best.
Yeah. So the first deal that I did with her was actually, it might have been the next deal after the one that I was just telling you about. Now that I think about it, she owned a rental property that was a couple blocks away from her primary residence in Imperial Beach. That was a paper lead.
Yeah.
Deal that came in.
So basically mailers that you were sending out?
No, through like Need to Sell My House Fast or Lead Geeks.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly which service it came from, but
yeah.
You pay, depending on the market, you pay a different rate and they pass you leads that are pay-per-click leads.
Yes.
That have been verified. So you get a little bit more security in the sense that you can return the leads if they're not valuable, or if they provide an incorrect phone number or something like that, you can get your money back on that lead as opposed to running your own PPC.
So those are services that you can actually pay for that is, it's a professional service that they do the marketing for you. They have the leads coming in and then, have certain guarantees that if it's not a great lead, they will kind of fish a little bit more
if it's already on the market or if it's a wholesaler or something like that. So it's more expensive than running your own PPC, but, as a newer investor, I wasn't going to spend the time or frankly the marketing budget that it takes to be effective.
Well, that's a whole different business. That's like a straight, separate business that it's a marketing business that it can be very lucrative, but you got to build the systems and the people in place and everything else and the management over that.
Exactly.
And that's a lot of time, energy, efforts when instead you could pay more of a premium to be able to get faster results, a hell of a lot sooner, right? Yeah. Like, let's do that.
Exactly.
And I recommend that for so many people getting started because I see a lot of brand new people that are trying to get started and just building out the systems, building out everything in place. It can be a mess of a headache. And then they get the 3 feet from gold and then quit.
Exactly.
And you didn't want that. So obviously, let's pay the professionals. Let's get some real leads coming in, and then you can close something.
Yeah. Have people that are actually motivated and looking to sell instead of, spinning your wheels.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where I got the lead from.
Okay.
Ended up spending 2 hours with her.
Yeah.
The first time that I talked to her, kind of understanding a lot about her story, which is a crazy story.
Yep.
She's not from the U.S. Came to the U.S., built obviously a great career that she's, owned a couple properties free and clear.
Sure.
And anyway, she's getting ready last summer around this time to move back to her home country.
Yeah.
So looking to basically get rid of her houses here in the U.S. So she could move back and not manage them from across the world.
Sure.
So the first one, she had this rental property in Imperial Beach. We worked out a price. That one was actually a cash deal. What was interesting about that was it's a single family home that was on a lot zoned for multifamily.
Yes.
So as I was looking at it, I was able to offer her it was worth as a single family home, but knowing that there were developers in the area that were turning them into multifamily.
Yes.
So I went and drove the property with a friend of mine here locally that does a lot of flipping, particularly in the Mission Valley Allied Gardens neighborhoods in San Diego. And he was providing me a little bit of guidance at the time and suggested as we drove by unit townhome development, he's like, call that number and talk to that guy.
Yeah.
See if what he'll give you for it. And again, sort of being new.
Yeah.
I pitched my number to him and he said, sure, I'll send you a check.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Yes. I'll give it to you.
Probably could have gotten more. But don't get me wrong. It was a massive deal. I made $75K wholesaling that deal.
Let's go.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
What kind of due diligence did you do to actually verify that, you could actually build on this? Because that may be something scary for somebody just getting started of like, they think they can, they heard they can, but how do you get that verification from the city that like, yes, you can definitely build there and it's not just a single family house now. Now you can build 8 units.
Right. So you can look on the assessor's website or there's other tools out there in terms of what the zoning is for the lot. That's your first indication. Like here in California, if it's single family, it's going to be zoned R1.
Yep.
If it's multifamily, it's going to be R3. That gives you your first indication that, you can actually put some kind of multifamily property on there.
Sure.
And then don't be afraid to go down to the city offices or the county offices and say, hey, I'm looking at this property. This is what I think I can do with it. Is that something that, according to zoning and the planning, that would be acceptable? The people down at the office, like,
very helpful.
Super helpful, super friendly.
Yeah.
Definitely not a place to be afraid to ask stupid questions.
Yes. Because
I agree. They're there to help. And I think they actually like to help down there because it's actually fulfilling for them as opposed to a lot of the mundane stuff that they deal with day in, day out,
Yeah. I actually took a real estate class in the past, like continuing education type of class, and we had a field trip that was down to the assessor's office and so forth, and they were just so helpful and really gave you that extra encouragement of like, there's no stupid questions asked here. They prefer that, they like want to help the next entrepreneur, like the next business real estate investor. So that was really encouraging, at least for our backyard, for San Diego, which I was kind of surprised with, because it's an aggressive market out here. Like there's some real sharks out here.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't limit that just to San Diego. I've had conversations with the assessor's offices in Midwest markets too. Yep. Particularly in some smaller towns. Like they are all about people that are going to do better and change things. Yeah. And they see rundown properties. Yeah. And if you're someone that's going to come in and fix them up and, provide rental housing, which is a real shortage in a lot of these markets. Sure. They are very willing to work with you.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. And another resource that I like to really, I wouldn't say like use and abuse, but take advantage of, right, is going to be just the escrow office and making sure that they can title, they can actually look up all the information of the property, the parcel, and see what the options are here for you. They'll typically guide you and give you as much education as possible. Then I like to verify with the city, just to triple check.
No, absolutely. Having a good relationship with an escrow officer and a title officer is invaluable.
For sure.
Kathia and Lexi, my local reps here in San Diego, are awesome. I call them all the time and like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. What do you think?
Yeah. What do you think we should do here?
What can we do here? You start dealing with divorce leads or probate leads, and they can help you sort of walk that process too, in terms of what you need to get, from the seller, what you're going to have to go through in order to get a deal over the finish line. So
I love that.
Super helpful.
So for that particular property, you were able to wholesale it, make $75,000. Did you originally buy that straight yourself, or did you just get it locked up in contract?
Yeah, so I just locked that up and assigned it, and let the seller know up front. There's no reason not to be transparent. And you can approach that a number of different ways, right? Having that conversation up front and saying, look, I do flip properties. Yes. I do hold rental properties. I may keep this for myself as a long term, but I also have partners that I work with that, it might be better suited for them. So you may see me assign this deal over to someone else because, it's going to fit what they're doing, or timing wise, it might, not work for me. But, one of the core values that we operate under is, we do what we say we're going to do.
Yes. So we say we're going to close in this amount of time, for this amount of money, we will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so my commitment to a seller is your property is going to get sold, and this is the amount of money that's going to go in your pocket.
Versus all the other people out there that talk it, but really don't perform at the end of the day, and then make the whole process more frustrating and time consuming, waste of money. And that can be heartache right there alone, right? So they can rest assured knowing that when you say you're going to do what you're going to do, it's going to get done.
Exactly.
And so they're going to get a check at this time, and that's going to be, that's what they need.
And so part of that is, being able to commit to yourself to underwrite a deal and know that it's a good deal, not guesswork. Like, I think I can sell this for 300. So, I'll give the seller 250, go run comps.
Yes.
Figure out what a rehab budget is and be confident that, you have yourself a deal with a spread if you're going to wholesale it, or, something that's going to cash flow so that you can actually perform.
That's good. So talk to me, how did you get the education or the proper understanding to get confident in your numbers and really be able to, position yourself properly so that you're not making the mistakes of other new investors that are saying they can do something for some number, and then they have to go back to the seller a dozen times and keep on getting it lowered because they totally, they jacked up the numbers from the start.
Yeah. So, there's so much free education out there.
Yes.
Nowadays, you can pay for a course.
Sure.
I've paid for a few in my day.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I still get value out of those different communities that I'm a part of.
Of course.
But you can find, comping videos on YouTube. You can find, underwriting videos on YouTube. There's a lot of good resources out there. I know Brent Daniels has some good stuff. Pace Morby, who I've mentioned before, has a great YouTube channel with a ton of free content on it that you can go learn and then go practice.
Yeah, the practice part is the important part. So, when I was first getting started, I read all the books, all the podcasts, all the YouTube, right? It comes time to implementing, and it's like, all right, and it just feels like a whole new piece. And all the things that I learned previously, I made exceptions for and cut corners of like, well, I know I learned this and I definitely shouldn't do that, but, it's just easier to pay the contractor up front the full thing, all cash. And it's like, no, you never do that. Yeah, whoops. So, whatever you learn, stick to it and implement it and don't make exceptions for things, right?
One of the things I think about the real estate investing community, and it was a big mindset hurdle for me to get over, is a lot of the people that are successful, they have more of an abundance mentality.
Yes.
As opposed to scarcity.
Yes.
Right. So my first thought, especially coming from the corporate world, is like, everybody else is my competition. Like, they're going to steal my deals.
Yeah.
Or like, I can't tell them what I'm working on. Or they're going to go, market in the same market, that kind of stuff. But really, like the people that are doing volume, the people that are successful, and you and I see this in the boardroom mastermind that we're in, right? They are so willing to help, especially people that are getting started. And if you demonstrate that you're willing to actually put in the work and you're not looking for the, quick buck, they'll let you underwrite deals that they've already done as practice.
Yeah.
So, I approached people in sub 2 that I saw that were doing deals and said, hey, can you give me 3 deals that you've recently closed just so that I can practice underwriting them? Like, I want to see if I can come up with the same comps that you have, the same, rehab budget, that kind of stuff, and get to the same numbers as I'm underwriting a deal.
Yeah.
I promise you that if you look at, again, sort of people that have consistent deal flow that you see, whether it's on social media or YouTube or in, real estate investing groups that are active and participating and demonstrating that they're, like I said, active in the real estate investing space, they will be happy to help you.
Yeah, I love that approach. I've actually never heard that. I've never experienced that or thought of that. That is very, I don't know how creative that is. I think it's very simple, and it's just like I've overlooked that. That is so genius, of simply just going up to other investors and be like, hey, what is the last 3 things you closed, or something you've already underwritten that do you mind just throwing me so that I could do my own due diligence on it, come back to you, see if we can compare, like who's going to say no to that?
Exactly. Right. Like I was saying, the people that are successful in this business, they are overwhelmingly willing to help the newer people.
For sure. That's because I think we realized how bad we needed that originally when we first got started.
Totally.
We're like, damn, I wish I either had that, or the people that did have that experience, they're like, it's time to give back. Like I had that experience. It's time to be able to pass it forward.
Exactly. And I think, where a lot of people sort of struggle or, misstep when they're approaching people that are more successful is they're coming asking for something that's gonna, they're asking to get value right away, right? Whereas if you're asking for something that, they've already closed the deal, right? You're not taking it's not taking their time. You're not asking them to handhold you and throw you leads or, help you underwrite a deal that you're trying to do at that point. Like, it's going to take them all of like 2 minutes to send you the details on their last 3 deals so that you can underwrite it.
It's also like second checking their stuff. Like maybe they missed something and they already closed on it, whatever, but it's like maybe they, you came up with different numbers and then they verified. They're like, oh, like crap, this is even a better deal. Or like I missed this. And so it's like, who wouldn't do that?
Exactly.
I love that approach. Yeah. I think the only thing that that I've noticed that can be frustrating is if people come up like asking, like you said, instead of kind of the approach, the golden nugget that you just gave, and they don't really take action. Like they're kind of more talk, and then so nobody wants that. So as long as you can show that you're going to demonstrate, you're going to actually participate, you're going to like really do what you're saying, and you come from that different angle, like you mentioned, I think that's gold.
So again, kind of sticking with that, right?
Yeah.
You ask them for their last 3 deals.
Yeah.
Don't come back 3 months later and be like, hey, can you review this? Like, actually go spend that night doing it and come back the next day. And
yes.
I did. So now you're showing them like, hey, I'm willing to grind. I'm willing to put in the work here. I'm not, taking the lazy way out or just hoping to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
That's what gives us a bad name.
And I've always mentioned this to other people too, like just getting started. If you analyze 3 deals a day and then submit offers on each one of them, I don't care what the numbers are. I don't care if the asking price is this and like $1 million and you came up and truly to your heart, you're like, this is worth $100,000. If you submit that offer and you have justification behind it, you're not just like lowballing it, right? Don't do that, but actually have justification behind it and you can, explain yourself, then you need to submit those offers, those 3 offers a day, and you'll be surprised within 30 days to 90 days or way sooner.
You're off to the races.
Yeah, you're going to get something accepted, and then it's just negotiating and closing. Exactly. I love that.
Definitely.
So right now you're doing more of a creative approach still, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then lead generation, are you still working with that company?
So I still have the pay-per-lead companies.
Okay.
You get a lead source that, has good ROI, make sure you track your metrics. Like you're not going to shut off something that, is, right now we're closing 1 out of every 8 leads that we get from them.
Incredible.
So
how many leads do they send over a month?
So you can vary your budget.
Okay.
The one that I'm working with more right now is Lead Geeks, which they don't really work on a budget where, you tell them you want to spend $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month, or even like I want 30 leads a month.
Yeah.
They work in specific markets. And so you're going to get, you're basically put in a round robin with every other investor, and they charge a flat fee here in the San Diego market. It's $250 a lead.
$250.
Yep. And so some months I'll get 10 leads, and some months I'll get 5 leads, and some months I'll get 15. It's a function of how effective their marketing is.
Okay. It's really not that, and you're closing 1 out of 8?
1 out of every 8. So let's do some math here, right?
That's
so
very
that's
simple.
$2,000 is my cost per deal, and my average spread here in San Diego is 25. So that's
come on,
crazy ROI, right? Like why would I shut off that lead source?
Yes, exactly. So are you trying to pump as much as possible into resources like that? I know they put you in a round robin, but
yeah, it's so in San Diego. I mentioned I'm licensed, so we have a couple different exit strategies there.
Yeah.
Right. So, obviously our first approach is, on the investing side. If the numbers just don't work, we're able to list the home too.
Yeah.
So that certainly helps us with our leads to deal ratio. In other markets, I'm referring that out.
Sure.
To a realtor. I don't have someone on my team that's licensed there. So yeah, we keep that going. I'm also doing a lot with, distress data right now. So, I've built a team of cold calling and texting VAs. I'm actually interviewing next week to bring on my first ISA.
Let's go.
And get that going.
Yeah.
So that, that business can start to run on its own.
Yeah.
As
or automated.
Focusing on other things.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What has your experience been for San Diego, like homeowners that you're dealing with, or more creative type of stuff? Is it really just, random who you're talking to, or are you finding more savvy, homeowners that are like, nah, I'm not doing any creative deals, or I'm not going to settle for less when I know I can get more of a premium?
I think the San Diego market is a little tough right now. We still have historically low inventory. If you look at the retail market, everyone talks about interest rates and the fact that they've gone up and it's drying up demand. We're really not seeing that in the retail market for homes that are priced appropriately. They're still moving very quickly.
And last year there's so much fear in the market, and I think in the beginning of this year it just started like unlocking a little bit. Like people were like, all right, well, I still need a home, and and there's not much available. I need to start making offers again, because people just like froze up and thinking that we're going to have some ultimate crash.
Exactly. Exactly. So you're not going to find, the regular retail seller that's going to be willing to accept a cash deal that's a wholesale deal here in this market. We're at like 85% ARV, right? Is our offer for a cash deal,
which is hundreds of thousands.
And they know, that they can get $1 million for their home. They're not going to take $850, right? Even with realtor commissions and everything else, they're still going to come out ahead, and it's worth their time
for sure
to list it on the market. Where we do find success is in the distressed market. So vacant houses, people that have rental properties that maybe they can't keep up with. People that are looking to move out of state has been a big lead source for us, or I should say sellers that have actually turned into deals. Their value here, the value of their home here in San Diego is such that even if they take a little bit of a haircut, they're still buying all cash in Arizona or North Carolina or wherever they're.
And they're doing really well over there.
It's the trade-off between like speed, like how quickly are they looking to move?
Yes.
Versus, how price motivated are they?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like this game, it's all about being a real estate investor. It's really, and you're trying to get more of a creative deal. You're working directly with the homeowner, the seller. It really comes down to what is their pain point? What are they trying to come up with a solution here? And you can get creative to be able to solve all their problems.
I would almost say that's more important than what a lot of people try and do first when they're having a conversation. Tell me more about the house. When was the last time you renovated the kitchen?
Of course, yeah. That comes second and almost very last, At the end of the day, understanding the motivation is going to tell you what kind of deal you have on your hands very early. And then, the condition of the house is just, it is what it is. Yeah. And you're going to getting that more of emotional connection and selling yourself on the idea of like, I am your only solution, or like, I'm your best answer here. Yeah. Then that will lower the price more than enough than you trying to nickel and dime over, some old kitchen or bathrooms that need to be updated.
Exactly. Exactly. So, we were talking earlier about the deal in Imperial Beach that, exactly to your point. So I had a great relationship with the seller. We'd already performed on a deal last year, did exactly what we said we were going to do. She approached me earlier this year and said, all right, now I'm ready to sell my primary house, my primary residence. I'm ready to move. So I approached her, kind of understood what she was looking for. And we presented two options. I told her, I can list the house for you because, her house was in great condition, right? She knew
nothing wrong.
She knew she could get top dollar.
Yeah.
It's now a rental property of mine, and I literally did nothing to it before I moved tenants in.
I love it. And I love how she reached out to you originally too. Like that's power.
It's, like I said, build that relationship.
Yes.
Do what you say you're going to do.
Yep.
And you'll have raving fans that'll call you back when they have a problem.
That's so good.
You can help. Anyway, we told her, I can list the house for you. And, broke down closing costs and commissions and everything. And I said, or, I can buy it from you, but I can't buy it for cash. Like if you can finance me, then, perhaps we can work something out and I can give you that full price without any commissions or closing costs. I'll cover all of that. So, she said, okay, because she knew that, I'd make my mortgage payment.
Oh,
right? Yeah. And so from there, I was able to tell her, I said, look, what I can do based on what I can rent this for is I can pay you $2,500 a month. So if that's acceptable to you, then, we can move forward and we can do this deal.
Yeah. So
she was focused on $2,500 a month, and she said, okay, that's great. So then, in the back end, what's $2,500 a month on an $800,000 loan?
Yeah, come on.
How do you put that together? So we ended up doing a seller finance deal at 2% for 38 years.
Oh my God.
Which works out to $2,506 is my payment to her. And we're renting it for $4,400 a month right now. That's not,
that's not typical, but
it's not typical. And
it's out there.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's about solving a problem for a seller and figuring out how you make that win-win.
Dude, that is so incredible. Locked in for 30 years? 38 years.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm like,
whoa. That's a deal incredible. I'll talk about for a long time.
Yeah, please do. Please do. That's inspiring as hell. I love that. Yeah. So what does it look like moving forward? Like, what are you trying to do? I mean, keep on getting more of those deals, of course.
Kind of how I've built things over the course of the last year.
Yeah.
I'm in a number of different markets now. Most of the stuff that I've bought that's in my portfolio has been done one or two buildings at a time. Like the Milwaukee deal I was telling you about, still the biggest portfolio that I've bought in a single transaction, 10 doors. But now I'm really shifting towards looking at more portfolios. Mm-hmm. So instead of going through all that work for one house to add to a rental portfolio or one triplex or 4 unit, deal. We just submitted an offer yesterday on a 54 unit
Let's go.
deal.
Let's go.
Again, that one will actually be kind of a hybrid deal. He's got some existing debt on it that we'll take over subject to.
Cool.
And then seller finance the rest of it.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. Anything that you would leave with the audience of, somebody just getting started as an investor? I know we have already given so many gold nuggets on, hire out a professional company to get the leads, creative financing, and learning your numbers. You can obviously reach out to somebody like yourself that has already gone through, the last 3 deals that they closed on. Let me underwrite your numbers. I love that gold nugget. But anything else that you would give to somebody brand new getting started that wants to kind of, put the missing pieces together? Something that you wish that you would have had?
Yeah, I mean, I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, but don't be afraid to have conversations.
Yeah.
That's at the heart of it. That's what it's all about, is whether it's on the phone or it's in person, have conversations with other investors.
Yes.
Have conversations with sellers.
Yep.
Conversations with your other resources, your title agent, your escrow officer.
Talk to a lot of people.
Your contractors. Like, if you think you're going to sit behind a computer all day, you're in the wrong game.
And this is really for the introverted person, right? Like, I can relate to this a lot, and Eric, I know you can. And there's just so many people out there that realize they want to get started into real estate investing, and maybe you, at the end of the day, you're not getting out there and putting in the reps. It comes down to having these conversations, letting people know what you're looking for, what your goal is, and people have the heart to want to serve and like help out. When they see that you're stumbling and you're messing up, you're making mistakes, it's okay, because it almost helps you to an advantage. Like, people are like, oh, you need our help. Let me step in and guide you a little bit.
Exactly.
And that's the way to go. And just like you mentioned earlier, if it's not you in that room having that conversation, it's going to be somebody else. So make sure you get your butt in that room, have that conversation,
100%.
and network.
100%.
Yeah.
And I would say, the feeling of being afraid to pick up the phone or being afraid to have that conversation, I still find myself thinking in the back of my head, oh, I'll make that call later.
Yeah.
Right. But then, I sort of put this on my
good.
wrist.
Let's go, baby.
The time is now. It's
like,
I'll look down at it, like, going to make that phone call. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, in fact, I would even say 10 times out of 10, you're not going to get the reaction that you thought you were going to get when you pick up the phone. It's going to be way more positive.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that's going to happen when you're talking to a seller is they're going to say no and hang up the phone.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Who cares if they curse you out? It is what it is. It's like,
exactly.
Obviously they're having a bad day. Give them an excuse for whatever it is and then move on to the next. That's just what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Eric, man, I appreciate your time so much today. It was really good, again, to, meet up and hear more about your story in real estate investing. It's just been a year and crushing it so far. Really excited to see where you're going with it too. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram.
Cool.
You'll find me at Eisenman Erik.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of pictures of my kids.
Yeah.
So I try and mix in the real estate stuff with my family.
Family man. You're doing coaching as well for the kids, right?
I do. So I coach my son's little league team. And I also caddy for my older son that's a golfer.
Yeah.
So you'll see both of them on my Instagram, and then my daughter does cheer. So I can't do a back handspring or a full layout. That's not in my realm, but I can drive. So I do carpool.
But I got a mean split.
Yeah, exactly. So you can find me there.
Cool.
Our website's Left Coast Property Solutions, or, same thing on Facebook, Eisenman Erik. You can shoot me a DM. Happy to connect and see how I can help.
Love it. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you today. Guys, if you want to get a hold of me, you can always do so on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments. We also have our new page for Credit Counsel Elite on Instagram. Make sure you go and follow us there. And on Facebook.com, it's /Brandon Elliott Investor. And if you haven't already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you get the newest notification for Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. It's every single Monday, a new episode drops and releases. Make sure that you leave that 5-star review after listening to a few episodes. Greatly appreciate all the love, all the support. As always, you guys are amazing. And if you are looking to get up to $500,000 every 6 months at 0% interest, interest, learning the techniques on how we went from $11,000 in debt to $8.5 million in real estate assets, funding real estate and businesses all with credit, then check out creditcounselelite.com. And we will see you on the next episode. Till next time, guys, God bless. Erik, appreciate you, brother.
Happy to be here.
Thanks, man.
You.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.